I got back home 2 days earlier than planned. My flight was moved up, and I figured I'd surprise everyone with an early return. I was tired, a little jet-lagged, but excited to sleep in my own bed again. But the moment I pulled into the driveway, I knew something was off. My garage door was wide open, and there were boxes. My asterisk boxes, stacked along the edge like someone was halfway through moving out. At first, I thought maybe something happened, maybe a pipe burst or the landlord needed to do emergency repairs. But then I saw her asterisk. Karen, my neighbor. The one who always seems to be watching everyone else's business like it's her full-time job. She was in my garage, holding one of my speakers like she was deciding whether to toss it or keep it. She didn't even look shocked to see me. In fact, she looked annoyed. Annoyed that I was back. I got out of the car and asked her what on earth she was doing. She just casually said she thought I had moved out and was helping clear things out for the next tenant. No explanation of why she thought that. No permission. Just acting like she owned the place. I told her to step away from my things and that I'd be calling the landlord myself. That's when she snapped. She grabbed her phone and called *911* on *me*. Told the operator that some strange man had broken into the property and was threatening her. I couldn't believe it. Here I was, standing in my garage with my name on the lease, and I was being treated like a criminal. I didn't know whether to laugh or get angry. I just stood there, trying to make sense of how someone could twist reality so fast and so confidently. But that was just the start. What happened next made everything 10 times worse, and it's something I never saw coming. As I stood there frozen, trying to process what just happened, Karen was already pacing back and forth in my driveway, loud enough for the whole neighborhood to hear. She kept repeating to the 911 operator that I was aggressive and refusing to leave the property. It was like watching someone rehearse a scene from a bad drama movie. I tried to stay calm, but my heart was pounding. I wanted to shout the truth right there, but I knew better. I knew how these things could go if I made the wrong move. I backed away from the garage and pulled out my phone to call the landlord. I needed someone who could confirm I lived there. Luckily, he picked up after a few rings. I gave him a quick rundown of what was happening. He was just as shocked as I was. Said he hadn't spoken to Karen at all, had no plans to rent the unit, and definitely didn't authorize anyone to touch my stuff. He said he'd call the police himself to clear things up, but by then I could already hear sirens in the distance. And here's the thing, Karen didn't just act like she was in the right. She looked confident like she expected me to be in trouble. That's what really threw me. It wasn't just a misunderstanding. She looked like she planned this, but why? What could she possibly gain from trying to throw me out of my own place? We'd had a few weird run-ins before, small things, like her complaining about my car being too close to her driveway, or the time she knocked on my door just to tell me my music was disrupting her peace, even though it was barely above a whisper. But this was next level. The police pulled up just as I was still on the phone. Karen rushed toward them, full of fake tears and hand gestures. I just stood there, gripping my phone, watching everything unravel in slow motion. What they said next made my stomach drop. I wasn't just dealing with a nosy neighbor anymore. I was part of something much bigger. As I stood there frozen, trying to process what just happened, Karen was already pacing back and forth in my driveway, loud enough for the whole neighborhood to hear. She kept repeating to the 911 operator that I was aggressive and refusing to leave the property. It was like watching someone rehearse a scene from a bad drama movie. I tried to stay calm, but my heart was pounding. I wanted to shout the truth right there, but I knew better. I knew how these things could go if I made the wrong move. I backed away from the garage and pulled out my phone to call the landlord. I needed someone who could confirm I lived there. Luckily, he picked up after a few rings. I gave him a quick rundown of what was happening. He was just as shocked as I was. said he hadn't spoken to Karen at all, had no plans to rent the unit, and definitely didn't authorize anyone to touch my stuff. He said he'd call the police himself to clear things up, but by then I could already hear sirens in the distance. And here's the thing, Karen didn't just act like she was in the right. She looked confident like she expected me to be in trouble. That's what really threw me. It wasn't just a misunderstanding. She looked like she planned this. But why? What could she possibly gain from trying to throw me out of my own place? We had a few weird run-ins before, small things, like her complaining about my car being too close to the driveway, or the time she knocked on my door just to tell me my music was disrupting her peace, even though it was barely above a whisper. But this was next level. The police pulled up just as I was still on the phone. Karen rushed toward them, full of fake tears and hand gestures. I just stood there, gripping my phone, watching everything unravel in slow motion. What they said next made my stomach drop. I wasn't just dealing with a nosy neighbor anymore. I was part of something much bigger. The officers stepped out of the car, and immediately Karen was in their faces, talking a mile a minute. She pointed at me, waved her arms toward the garage, then lowered her voice into this dramatic, shaky tone like she was scared for her life. One officer held his hand up to calm her down, while the other walked over to me. He asked for ID. I handed it over without a word, just trying to keep it together. I could tell by the look in his eyes that he wasn't sure what to believe yet. As he called in my name and address, I could still hear Karen in the background pushing her story, something about me breaking and entering, and threatening to damage property. I don't even think she realized how little sense any of it made. My boxes were packed, not damaged. Nothing was broken, nothing was stolen, because it was all mine, . But that didn't stop her from twisting the whole situation. She was good at this, too good, like she'd done it before. The landlord finally called back and confirmed everything to the officers. That helped, but it didn't exactly settle things. One officer told me I was free to go, for now, but they'd be making a full report since a call was made. Karen wasn't happy about that. She gave me this look like I had just ruined her day, like I was the one causing problems. Then she said something under her breath that stopped me cold. This wouldn't have happened if you just left like you were supposed to. Left. Like I was supposed to . That's when it hit me. This wasn't random. She actually thought I was moving out. But how would she know, or think, that unless she was watching me closely? Was someone telling her things about me that weren't true? Or worse, had she made this all up to try and take over the space? That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about how she was already in the garage with everything half packed, like she had planned for me not to come back. And if that's true, what else has she done while I was gone? The next morning, I decided I couldn't just sit back and wait for things to blow over. I needed answers. I went through my place carefully, checking every room, every drawer, making sure nothing was missing or damaged. But even though everything seemed untouched, the feeling that something was seriously wrong wouldn't leave me. How could Karen act like she had a right to pack up my stuff, and worse, call the cops on me, without any real proof? It was like she was playing a dangerous game, and I didn't know all the rules yet. I started asking around the neighborhood, trying to figure out if anyone else had noticed Karen's strange behavior, or if she had been spreading rumors about me while I was away. That's when a few neighbors pulled me aside quietly, hinting at things I hadn't heard before, small comments about me moving out, someone seeing her at my house when I wasn't there, even rumors about her trying to convince others to stop talking to me. It felt like a slow, quiet takeover. Someone was clearly feeding Karen information, or maybe even encouraging her to push me out. Meanwhile, Karen kept showing up around my property, sometimes just standing outside watching, other times knocking on the door pretending to check in. Each time, she had a new excuse, but her eyes told a different story, like she was waiting for something or someone. I tried to stay calm, but every encounter made me more nervous. What if she was planning to do something worse next? What if the police call was just the start of a bigger scheme? Then came the day when I found a note slipped under my door. It was short, but chilling. "You don't belong here anymore. Move before it's too late." My hands shook as I held it. Who had sent it? Was Karen behind it? Or was there someone else pulling the strings? As I stood in my living room staring at that note, my phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number, and it said only one thing: "You need to leave before things get ugly." That was the moment I realized this wasn't just about a neighborly dispute anymore. It was something bigger, darker, and I was right in the middle of it. What would happen next? I had no idea, but I knew one thing for sure: I wasn't going anywhere without a fight. Just when I thought things couldn't get any more intense, the next day something happened that threw everything into chaos. I was sitting at my kitchen table, still shaken from the threatening messages, when I heard a loud banging coming from the garage. My heart jumped. I rushed over and peeked through the window. To my shock, Karen was there again, only this time she wasn't alone. There was a man with her, someone I didn't recognize, and they were moving even more of my belongings into a big van parked right outside. I grabbed my phone to call the police again, but before I could, Karen noticed me through the glass. She smiled, smirked, and waved like everything was perfectly normal. The man gave me a cold look, and I quickly lowered my phone, not wanting to make things worse before help arrived. But the feeling of being cornered was crushing. It wasn't just about a neighbor anymore. There was something much more calculated going on. Later that night, I got an anonymous message with pictures taken from outside my house during the day. The photos showed Karen and that man unloading boxes from the van, and in one picture, the man was holding a set of keys that looked just like mine. How did they get a copy? Was someone helping them? It felt like I was living in a nightmare where every move I made was being watched and manipulated. I tried talking to the landlord again, but when I brought up the man and the keys, he sounded confused and concerned. He insisted he had no idea who that man was and that no new tenants or movers were supposed to be at the property. It was clear now. Someone was lying, and I was caught in the middle of it. Karen's actions weren't random. They were part of a plan, and it was coming together faster than I could stop it. With my belongings disappearing, strange threats, and unknown players involved, the stakes had never been higher. I felt trapped in my own home, fighting against people who didn't just want me gone. They wanted me out now. But why? What was really behind Karen's sudden obsession with pushing me away? And how far would they go to make sure I never came back? The answers were closer than I thought, but uncovering them might change everything forever. I knew I couldn't wait any longer. The next morning, I called the police again and insisted they come out immediately. This time, I wasn't just reporting strange behavior, I had proof. When the officers arrived, I showed them the photos of Karen and the man with the keys, the threatening messages, and explained everything that had been happening since I returned early from my trip. The officers listened carefully, and together we went to the garage where Karen and the man had been seen. To my relief, the police found some of my belongings in the van parked nearby. They also questioned Karen and the man, who finally admitted they thought I had abandoned the place because they'd heard rumors from a property manager, someone I had trusted. Apparently, the landlord's assistant had mistakenly told Karen that I was moving out and that the landlord wanted to clear the unit. It was a huge misunderstanding, but Karen had taken it way too far. What started as a mix-up quickly turned into her trying to take over my home. With the truth out, the police made it clear that Karen's actions were illegal and warned her about harassment and theft charges. The landlord personally apologized and promised to sort everything out so this never happened again. I felt a huge weight lift off my shoulders, knowing I was finally safe in my own home. But just as I started to think it was all over, I received one last message. It wasn't from Karen or the man this time. It was from the landlord's assistant, the one who spread the false info. The message said, "You should watch your back. Some people don't want you here, no matter what you think." That chilling warning made me realize the fight wasn't completely over. There were deeper layers to this story, and someone was still trying to push me out. But this time, I was ready. Whatever was coming next, I wasn't going to let it catch me off guard again. After that final message, I knew things had changed. I wasn't just dealing with a difficult neighbor anymore. There was something beneath the surface, a hidden tension that went beyond personal grudges or misunderstandings.